if I can find a problem, a compelling problem that people need to solve, and they understand they need to solve it, then the sales piece goes a lot easier.
Welcome to the Mastering E-commerce Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Eitan Koter, co-CEO of Vimy. In an era of rising acquisition costs and increased competition, this podcast is dedicated to helping you drive sales, engage customers, and build meaningful communities so you can turn passive visitors into active buyers. Now let's get started with the episode. In this episode, I'm meeting a seasoned entrepreneur, marketing strategist, and educator who's redefining what it means to connect with customers in the digital-first world. Wilson Zehr is the CEO of Zairmail, a platform that's made sending direct mail as fast as easy as email. With over 25 years of experience launching tech startups, raising more than $60 million in revenue in venture capital, and teaching marketing and business strategy at the university level, Wilson brings a rare blend of real-world execution and academic insights. In this conversation, we dive into why direct mail is making a powerful comeback, how startups and political campaigns alike are using it to cut through the digital noise, and what today's brands can do to drive deeper engagement in an age of digital fatigue. If you're looking for fresh, actionable strategies to stand out and grow smarter, this episode is just for you. Wilson, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Fine, Eden. How about yourself?
Doing great. Looking forward for this episode. Pretty excited about your story and about Zairmail and digital world, digital fatigue, all these words. We all feel them. Probably there is a good insights that you will educate us all today. But before we dive in, Wilson, if you can choose like 3 words that probably better describe you or are most important to you, and share it with us, and also please explain why you chose these words.
Great question, and a challenging one to start with. By the way, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I'm always happy to talk. In terms of 3 words, I know you asked me that before, but I came up with 4.
Okay, one. Oh, great, yeah.
And I would say innovation, education, family, and community. So that kind of spans my interest and the focal point of most of my activities.
It's kind of a common thread here. I feel like a life which is well balanced, right?
And no, it's as well balanced as it could be.
Not easy with as a founder, tech CEO, right?
Oh yeah, no, it's time is always at a time is always a difficult thing to manage, and it's always at a premium, right?
Yes.
I was just setting up this interview. We wrestled with that a little bit, time zone differences and schedules and all kinds of things. It's tricky, especially if you've got a family and other activity that you work on.
As we grow, I think we must be smarter in the way we prioritize things, but the way we delegate things and making decisions, right? That's a very important process of growth.
No, I agree too. We have those catchwords we talk about a lot of times about having a balanced life, being able to, to balance fitness and education and family and community and things like that, which I try to do too. But, it's funny that sometimes it seems hard to balance in that way. It seems like, you spend a little bit of time where you're more focused on your business, and then you have a little period of time where you're more focused on your family, and, you kind of move back and forth because we can't always control, when we have an opportunity to do those things, and the demands come externally. We can't control them, or we could try, but oftentimes we have limited control.
Exactly. But as long as we are feeling passionate, or let's say our vitality is in a very good levels, then we can process things, handle things, and try to cope, with everything that surprises us, like almost every day.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So Wilson, why do you believe direct mail is making a comeback, right, in an age of digital overload or digital fatigue?
Direct mail, it's true. Some people are rediscovering it. Some people are discovering it for the first time. If we look at the volumes from the U.S. Postal Service, we'd seen, if we could break that down a little bit here in the U.S. Postal Service. There's more than one class of postage. There's a number of classes of postage. In the direct mail industry, we tend to talk about first class mail and standard mail. Standard mail being, bulk mail. It's the most advertising mail. that's sent in large quantities. If you use GE Healthcare or MasterCard, Visa, people like that for sending mail, you're sending more standard mail, mainly because the postage is a lot less expensive, sometimes 20 cents a piece or more. And when you're sending millions of pieces of mail, that makes a big difference. But if we look at the volumes overall, the first-class mail volumes have been way down because there are a lot of transactional mail has gone electronic, which makes sense. Your Visa card statements, things like that, bank statement, things like that. But direct mail, a lot of advertising mail is held relatively constant. It's down, but it's not down as much. And the reason for that is that most direct mail is ROI driven, and as long as people are generating the kind of returns they need, they keep spending on it. It's true that some forms of digital advertising seem cheaper on the face. If you look at search engine optimization, email marketing, things like that. But direct mail does some things that no other medium can do. And as a marketing professional, I always think we need to step back and think in terms of the job we're trying to solve rather than the medium, right? There's this old saying that if all you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. But if we think about the customer journey, which is really what we're focused on, moving the customer from not understanding who we are or what we offer, or sometimes even what problem we're solving, to being a customer, building that awareness and preference and helping them become a customer, may require a lot of different tools depending on what we're trying to accomplish in the stage in the buying process. And so really what I think we need to do is stand back and look at, what are we trying to sell? What kind of budget do we have to work with? What does that journey look like? And what are the best tools to help us accomplish that? If you think about direct mail, and you didn't ask this question, but I'll throw it out there since we're talking about it. Direct mail, when you think about direct mail as a tool, it does some things that no other medium can do. First of all, direct mail reaches every household and business in America 6 days a week. And, that's by mandate. The U.S. Postal Service is required to deliver. So I'm not worried about, spam filters, lost things. I think something like, last stat I saw said something like 35 or 40% of even legitimate email is never delivered. It's just swallowed up by the network somewhere. Assuming that you could reach people, the average person has 2.7 email boxes, something like that, which they may or may not check on a frequent basis. The second thing is it's proactive communication. With mail, I can reach out and touch people when I'm ready to talk. Now it still may wait to engage until they're ready to move forward, but I can have that conversation when we're ready to do it. Whereas if I'm using something like Google AdWords or something of that nature, I have to wait for people to find me, or search engine, I have to wait for people to get interested and look for a term. Thirdly is just precise audience targeting. So the demographics for direct mail, given that it's been around for so long, the demographics are very well developed. So if I wanted to reach middle-aged dentists in New Jersey that have bought a car in the last 6 months, I could probably find that list. If I wanted to do that for email or some online medium, it'd be really tricky.
Yeah.
I don't think that information probably exists. We could probably try to approximate it, but we wouldn't have the same kind of precision targeting. And then finally, here, it's built in the American psyche. People are used to getting mail once a day, or at least once a day. They go to the mailbox and pick out the letters, decide what they want to act on, what they don't. The U.S. Postal Service would call it the mail moment. You go to the mailbox and you hear music from the heavens and things light up, and you get these gifts in the mail. I think they romanticize it a little bit, but the fact remains that most Americans are programmed or accustomed to receiving messages from the mail, and they react oftentimes positively to it rather than negatively. Here in the U.S., if you're doing telemarketing these days and you're trying to get a consumer on the phone, man, that is a thankless job.
One of the I've heard out there, right?
Yeah, no, with the do not call list, especially for consumers here, the size of the list is tiny these days. There's no way you can get the same kind of reach But if you do get somebody, I mean, it's like, it's like running into a buzzsaw.
Yes, yes. So obviously a lot of advantages, great in terms of targeting and trying to find the intent. How can brands effectively integrate direct mail campaign into their, let's say, omnichannel strategies, overall strategies?
Oh, and I mean, using tools like Zairmail, I don't think it's difficult to do at all. Zairmail tool was designed to let automation work for you. So you upload a piece, upload a list, see a preview of what's going to be produced. You like what you see, you push the button, you're in the mail tomorrow the next day at a fraction of the cost. I mean, that's what we do. Is what we've been doing for 20 plus years.
Amazing.
And we do have a new tool that we just introduced called Speedy, which is really it's a desktop application where you can just drop even a single letter on it, like a Word doc or PDF. It said, would you like to send this? Give us an address. You give it an address, you push the button, turns in the letter, it goes out the door.
Yeah. And what some of the use cases, when do you recommend brands to send those direct mails?
It's going to depend on the brand and the customer and what we're trying to accomplish. But it's usually an effective piece of the marketing mix. We do have some customers that are just using mail. I mean, they have a call center and they're trying to drive traffic to the call center, and they have a very specific demographic and a very specific message. And that's what they do. They'll do, 30,000 pieces of mail a couple of times a week and just keep the phone ringing. So we have people to do that. More often, it's part of an integrated marketing strategy. I can give you one example that I've shared in the past. We worked on a school bond initiative in Eastern Oregon. Oregon's where I'm located, where I'm sitting right now. We decided to take on this initiative for the school districts in Grand Oregon, Union County, Oregon. And basically, what was happening is they had a school bond. Well, they had some athletic facilities that needed to be replaced. The state of Oregon was offering some matching funds. In order to get those funds, the district had to do a bond measure to get their piece of the matching fund and replace an existing bond. And so they put a ballot or an initiative on the ballot to do that. So we had to help people understand why that was a good idea and why they should vote for that. Years later, they had done an initiative for the original bond, and they just barely passed it. I mean, they were up all night waiting, and I think they finally passed it by a couple of votes. What we did is we looked at, from a marketing standpoint, who do we need to support this, and what's the messaging it will take to do that, So we were able to go down and we bought a voter file from the county of all the people that vote. We were able to overlay that, basically divide it into smaller lists. Here, the way that kind of funding works in the state of Oregon is it's driven by property taxes. So if you own property, you'll pay a certain amount per $1,000 in assessed value. So we took the list and we divided into homeowners versus renters, and those two lists into those people with children in school, those people who did not have children in school. And so we knew that those people who were homeowners would have to pay for it and had children in school. They had some, very direct benefit, but some very direct costs too. So we need to address that. Those who were paying, paying the tax but didn't have kids in school, we had to sell them more about community, and how to help their neighbors. Yeah. But for those who are on the renter side, I mean, it's almost all upside. So they're not paying the bill for that, and their kids in school, they're going to benefit from it. So we took that messaging into different audiences. We built a little website, just a lot of folks would do, because we had need a place to host content and a focal point to drive people to if they wanted more information. We described the initiative and put all of the supporting materials there. We made videos of children, or not just children, adults, families that had used that facility in the past over the years, shared those stories with people. We shared stories of support from the community. Then we used social media. So we got, found social media networks that tied in the parents, tied in those audiences, and allowed us to share those stories. We went to, we found the Parent Teachers Association and got them to share that information with their parent, with their networks. Then we went to parent-teacher meetings. We went to coffee meetings. We met with the Lions Club, the local organizations. So that's another type of outreach. And we also did stuff like, well, let me back up first, because I'm giving you a smattering of stuff across the board. But
That's okay. I mean, it's all,
so we know from in Oregon, it's all vote by mail. It's been vote by mail for decades, right? I mean, that's just the way we do things here. It reduces costs, it maximizes voter response. So we know when we know from the state, we know when ballots are going to mail. We know when ballots are due. All right, so that gives us a timeline to work. So from a direct mail standpoint, so we talked about the other tools we use, outreach tools. And by the way, we did, like everybody else, we did yard signs, we did door hangers, we did those things. But if we talk about the direct mail, given that we have this list segmented, we can go out and connect with voters through the mail just before the ballots are delivered. So the day before the ballot arrives in the mailbox, they get a jumbo postcard describing this initiative and what the benefits are. And the reason why that's important is because we know that some people just get a ballot in the mail and they vote right away, right? They don't wait. They just check the boxes, put it in the mail so they won't forget. Secondly, about midway through to the election, we did another reminder. And then the day before, couple days before the actual election itself, before the results are due, we hit them with another follow-up campaign to get any stragglers. And given that activity, I mean, it wasn't even close. I mean, it passed overwhelmingly, unlike the previous time where they eked out a win. And it wasn't because we did anything tricky. It was just basic blocking and tackling, understanding who the customer is, what message they needed to hear, how to reach them, and how to move them along that journey to get to the place we needed to go.
and it was very, very targeted, right? And the specific people and audience that you need to actually target, right? And this just keep sending them, not just once, maybe more than that, like twice or three times, just to follow those follow-ups. And it's obviously a very, very effective process. Super, super interesting. Yeah.
Right. We had a website out there too, and it was, for the school bond initiative, it was optimized for that. So if you went online and you queried for a school bond initiative, you'd go right to our website and you'd see that information. You could request additional information. I mean, so it was a completely integrated campaign that used all of these tools in the most effective way possible.
Yeah, so it's much more than just a technology platform where you can just upload a list and send whatever maze with some kind of a script. The whole process of trying to identify customers and targeting and those lists, this is something that also you provide as part of your services.
Sure. I mean, we're happy to help our customers. I mean, most of the customers that come to us already have some idea of creative, what they want to send out. And in many cases, they already have a list. But we're happy to help. I mean, if you come with a problem, we'll look at it for you. We'll try and identify the right people to talk with. We'll help you find the right list. I mean, we have access to data from Axiom and LexisNexis and 100 other providers. I mean, because we do this every day. And ultimately, our goal here is to help people be successful. Because we know that if you're not successful using this tool, you won't be coming back again.
Sure. That's that's life, obviously, in today's era. So
It's direct mail. Historically, as I mentioned early on, that direct mail is ROI driven, right? So people know what they spend, they know what they get in sales, and they need to be able to show a positive return. And so to the extent our customers can show a positive return, they continue to come back. And if we can't help them do that, maybe they look for other solutions. So we're very focused on that.
Sure. Do you see any specific industries or niches that this is more effective, or it just working across the board?
I don't know. I mean, people have these kinds of marketing problems in many different industries. I mean, traditionally direct mail, we see a lot of, especially this kind of mail, we see a lot of people using it in real estate, mortgage marketing, independent insurance agents, people like that. These days, we're also seeing a lot of people using it for different forms of collection or outreach for unclaimed rewards or unclaimed taxes or just a whole bunch of different activities. I mean, it really boils down to, I think, what you're trying to accomplish more than what industry you're in.
Yeah. Wilson, you've been involved in multiple tech startups. What's your perspective on marketing? I mean, how do you launch product? How do you manage growth? What's your typical process or processes you believe in?
So it's a great question. I mean, it's a tricky one too. I mean, I've talked with a number of venture capitalists in the past who say, with the portfolio companies we have, if there's an issue, it's usually in sales and marketing, right? People know how to build stuff. They have great ideas. They know how to build stuff, but not everybody knows how to sell stuff. And you know what? At the end of the day, universities are to blame too. I teach at the university when I'm not working on startups. In the university environment, quite often we teach nothing about sales or very little about sales because we don't think of it as being professional. It's not like it doesn't have the same depth of research and academic literature behind it. But the fact is that if we can't sell stuff, then everybody else can just go home. I mean, it doesn't matter what we're building if we can't sell it because we can't pay for people to work on it. So sales turns out to be very important. And it turns out that good sales is very professional. And it is, we're helping customers solve problems. We're working together to solve problems. The problem is so often people think about sales as, a guy in a Madras plaid coat trying to sell a used car. But in B2B, I mean, that's not what we're doing. We're really working with customers to help solve real world problems. And they have to get value from our solutions, if we want to keep doing business with them.
Yes.
So, direct mail's a tool that can help with that, but it's really going to depend on the venture. But I do think, sales and marketing are very important for just about any startup venture. Unless you can get that initial traction, then everything becomes a little trickier. You see startups these days, people get a big pile of money and to just hire, 50 or 100 sales reps and find a brute force it.
Yeah.
But for most of us, that's not really an option.
Sure. I mean, we obviously in the tech, it's a more product-led growth, right? It's kind of a strategy, right? Just probably delay the hiring of sales team just to perfect the product because sales have their way to close business, even if the product is not just, totally perfect for that specific use case. And it's more like a lot of tech startups are like just more pushing product-led growth and just trying to fine tune the products to the maximum before they feel that they hit product market fit, and then hiring sales team just to grow this. So yeah, that's interesting. Wilson, what about the data part? I mean, data is so important today, right, for any company, right? Just to feed AI engines, and how do you collect data, and what type of data is available, and with direct campaign?
The data, for us, data is usually in the form of mailing lists and demographics, and they're, as I mentioned before, it's pretty well developed. I mean, we offer lists. You can go on the platform today and put in demographic criteria and pull lists for consumers and businesses. We offer consumer data through Axiom, which is the largest consumer database in the United States. Our business lists are coming through Dun & Bradstreet. We're looking at things like different kinds of leads and other kinds of financial information from LexisNexis. And we have scabs of other specialty providers. If you want a subscription list from a particular magazine or different kinds of, custom lists built, we can do that as well. It's really important when direct mail, we talk about this, a model for, the model for success is 70-20-10. So if we think about our success, 70% of it is the list, right? We need to make sure we're talking to the right person. 20% is the offer. And whatever's left is creative, being able to break through the clutter and get our message across. But one thing we know is if we have a compelling offer and we put it in front of the right person, good things usually happen. In terms of sales, you touched on something that I think is interesting too. It really depends, from a startup standpoint, it really gets a lot easier if we're solving a compelling problem, rather than pushing a technology. And you see people coming in both directions. But if we're just pushing a technology, especially a technology that's solving a problem that people don't realize they have, then that becomes a missionary sell. And that's just a lot more effort. And people do it, but it is harder. But if I can find a problem, a compelling problem that people need to solve, and they understand they need to solve it, then the sales piece goes a lot easier.
Yes. Yes, for sure, for sure. You've been involved in innovation. Obviously in all those years and launching, multiple startups. There is something that's right now that you see in the near future that's exciting, that you find exciting, right, in the industry, probably on the marketing side, some kind of a trend that you feel is important to mention.
Trends like, are you talking about AI or?
Yeah. Yeah. How do you see this integrated into your business?
Yeah, AI is an interesting term for me because I started my career in computer science. And at the most basic level, we're a software company. So we've created software that automates the routing and production of direct mail. And as software people, I've been, software person, I've been hearing about AI for 40 plus years, right? In different forms. And Space Odyssey, remember that movie? We talked about how, more recently, iRobot, Will Smith. And I don't think we're anywhere near that yet. Everybody today, it seems like, especially if you're out raising money, everybody needs an AI story, but whether they really need to use AI and what that means in their context can be very different. A lot of, we're talking about large language models. So we're grinding through data and using that data to try and identify patterns or trends. That's a useful type of data analysis. We can try and use those patterns to forecast into the future. That has its own limitations because obviously the future doesn't always repeat the past, right? And there's something called linear extrapolation, which means we're going to take a pattern from the past and try to extend it into the future using the same basic slope or curve or behavior, which of course often does not work. So, that gets a little tricky too. I would say, we use things that you might consider AI in our business. Like, for example, we have intelligent network routing. So we do handle production through a network of, or handle fulfillment through a network of production partners across the United States. And we look at things like pricing and network traffic and what's being produced and time zones, do a lot of different stuff to try and find the most efficient way to produce it. And we've been doing that for a long time. But in a way, it's a form of AI and it's real time. We use real-time data to do that. In customer acquisition, we use some tools to try and identify likely users of our product or service, people we could add the most value to. But I would, encourage people to use AI, at least in its current incarnation. Think of it more like a tool rather than a destination. We see this in academia too. People are using AI now, what we call AI, to do research, right? To grind through a bunch of data and gather information really quickly is really good for that, the stuff that we have today. I read an article the other day saying some very large percentage of lawyers are using AI today because so much of their job is doing research, looking at precedent and contracts and other results. And a tool like that can help them go through a lot of data very quickly.
Yeah.
So that all makes perfect sense to me. Most of the tools we have are great for that. I'm not sure that I don't know. I've got a couple of different feelings about it, but the internet was life changing, right? I mean, it impacted everything: schoolwork, international relations, communications. I mean, the way we do any number of things. I'm not sure AI has the same kind, at least in the current incarnation, has the same kind of implications. I am sure it can be a useful tool in the right hands if people know how to use it. And we're seeing signs of that. I mean, as education, as people see it as especially in education, don't see it as a threat. They tend to embrace it as a tool. Then it becomes even more valuable.
Yes. Yeah, there are so many AI use cases that you see. That's okay, nice. I mean, all those picture creation, video. I mean, probably influences huge industries, but for others, it just still doesn't make any effect on their business or on their life. But we are at the beginning, right? We don't know how things are going to scale, in terms of AI. So, Wilson, what is the best way for people to find you, right, and to find Zairmail?
Zairmail's online at www.zairmail.com. It's like airmail with a Z on the front. So you can find the site there. It's fast and easy to sign up. No credit card required. You have questions. I mean, a lot of people hide from phone calls. Our 800 number, our toll-free number is right there in big letters, big numbers. If you have a problem, call us. We're always there. We also have this new application, Speedy, which you can find at www.zairmail.com/Speedy. You can download it today for free. You can use it for free. It's the first 2 letters are free. If you refer friends, we'll give you more free letters. So you could essentially send free letters using Speedy forever, as long as you're referring potential users to us. So I think that's a pretty good deal.
Great. So we will add all those links, obviously, in the show notes. Wilson, anything else you want to add?
Oh, that's an open-ended question.
That's okay. I think we covered a lot, but yeah, you're open to say anything.
Yeah, no, I just, I wanted to say that we're always here to help. I mean, in the university environment, we've helped, I don't know, hundreds of companies, in terms of solving problems. And Zairmail, we do that every single day. So we're always open. We love entrepreneurs. We want to see people be successful. We're always happy to help in any way that we can. If you have it, need help, send me an email, connect on LinkedIn, call the number. We're here. We want to help you be successful. We'd love to have a chat.
Amazing. That's a great summary. Wilson, thank you so much. It was really, really interesting. Wish you all the best and good luck.
Thank you, Eitan. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for listening to the end of this episode. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe so you won't miss any of our future content. Explore Vimy, the video commerce platform that includes live shopping, shoppable video, and social commerce capabilities. Visit Vimy at www.vimy.net. We appreciate your support and look forward for bringing you more valuable insight in our next episode.